A commonly listed symptom of depression is losing interest in things that you once loved. But what if it's just a part of growing up? I've been losing my drive to play video games lately, and I can't tell if that's a red flag or just reality. But before I talk about how to distinguish between it being a red flag and just generally a shifting interests and priorities, be sure to give this video a like. Comment how your interests and priorities have shifted as you've reached the end of your 20s or entered your 30s. I'd like to know what to expect in the future. Be sure to also give this video a like. Subscribe for cultural commentary and rants from a man caught between generations. And last but certainly not least, feel free to join me at the Zillennial Nexus Point Discord where we can keep this conversation going. What I've noticed is that gaming used to be central to my identity, but now the pull is weaker. To be clear, I don't think the island of personality, if we're going to use the analogy of the movie Inside Out, has crumbled, but it's certainly gotten weaker in its influence. Something that's on a list of symptoms is that if you stop enjoying hobbies, that's considered a symptom. Talk to an actual professional if you're feeling anything like that. By the way, not me. But yeah, that's generally considered a symptom of depression. But the problem is, that's not always a sign of depression. Sometimes it's just shifting interests that are a sign of maturity or having different priorities rather than a decline. Like in the gaming example, growing up, games were an escape for me, part of my identity, and it was a social glue. It's what brought me and my friends together. Now, sitting down just feels more like an obligation to get my money's worth and play the game. Like, I'm playing through Ocarina of Time on my Switch 2 right now because I'm trying to exploit the Switch Online membership. It's the last single player game I'm going to play through before I just play Mario Kart World or Splatoon 3 or something else like that online for whatever amount of time I can fit in while still getting my money's worth for the subscription and for the $450 piece of hardware that I bought about 3 months ago now. The fear is whether this is numbness, depression, or just tastes and priorities evolving. The classic depression symptom is a loss of pleasure, withdrawal, and isolation. There is a danger of pathologizing everything where people assume that change equals broken. Not all the time. Sometimes it is a genuine red flag, and I think you should check in with your friends regularly, regardless. Like, if it's not because they're doing something that is more productive in the long term, then I'd say that it's something you should be concerned about. But anyway, what I'm trying to decide is whether I feel joy in other areas or if this is across the board, because I'll admit when I log my mental state on my Apple Health app, I put a lot of neutral, drained emotions when I'm doing long stretches of other things that have nothing to do with gaming. Anyway, interests do naturally shift with time. Sometimes your taste in music might change. Sometimes you might want to explore different movies than just the same old, same old. And sometimes your fashion might change too. Like, I don't know if I've talked about this, but I'm trying to get away from the more slovenly look in favor of a little more casual. Like, if you've watched Better Call Saul, this is I'm gonna go on a tangent here for a moment, but I noticed with Better Call Saul, Jimmy almost never wore t-shirts and something like that, or shirts like this. When he wasn't wearing the suit and tie, more standard one, or the Saul Goodman look, he would wear like a polo button shirt and jeans or something like that. I'm trying to get more towards that and more away from t-shirts, especially those with designs on them or something like that. It's gonna cost some money though to buy the new clothes, so there's that. Anyway, Adult life also brings new priorities and new escapes. You've got other things you have to take care of as an adult, whether you're living at home or living alone or with roommates, or you're having to sort out your living situation if your parents aren't letting you stay with them rent free anymore. Or if you're like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and you're like, I have to move out as quick as possible because it's not right for me to stay living with Aunt May. Tobey Maguire, if you're watching this, I apologize for that horrible impression of your voice. Another little tangent, I realized that Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker actually never moved out from Aunt May's house in either of the Amazing Spider-Man movies, though. Who knows if he would have if The Amazing Spider-Man 3 had happened. Anyway, video games were training wheels for my identity, and they're certainly something I'm going to enjoy doing when I get the time to do so, and I get ahead on everything else that I want to get done that's productive, but I can't be playing them forever. I'm not always going to be able to do the 11 hours in a day or anything like that, like I did quite recently. Maybe I can do that something like that every now and then. I just can't do it that often. I most definitely should not do that often, even if I could. Cutting down on a hobby like that does feel a bit like losing a piece of myself. Again, like an island of personality from the movie Inside Out. Thankfully, Gamer Island isn't completely falling into the abyss, but it is on life support or it's not getting as much attention. Still being kept alive, although I am prepared to sacrifice gaming entirely if I need to for whatever reason. Or I'm prepared to let go of it if the power grid collapses or something like that. Yeah, hobbies often can be identity anchors, and we're not given many approved ways to transition out of old escapes without it feeling like decline, whether on the surface or internally. Maybe losing interest isn't a sign of depression or failure. Maybe it's just making space for something else. I know I am definitely making space for this channel in favor of growing on YouTube, growing as a content creator, and giving you the best videos I can make happen. So thanks for being part of this. It means a lot to me. This is the real hobby. Oh, and also, I do like to get away from home because I kind of have to do that now if I don't want to feel crowded when my mom is doing her psychotic cleaning frenzy or just even just working from home can feel a little crowded. Anyway, the real danger is not outgrowing games. It's never finding the next thing to grow into, whether it be this channel or going out to places like the library or other third places. And on that note, I'm going to wrap it up here for the video. Again, like I said earlier, talk to a professional if you have legitimate depression concerns. What I'm really talking about is finding the line between depression and shifting interests. Be sure to comment down below if your interests have shifted going through your 20s or 30s, and if you realize it's just a natural part of aging, or this new thing served me better anyway. Be sure to also like the video, subscribe for cultural commentary and rants from a man caught between generations. And last but certainly not least, feel free to join me at the Zillennial Nexus Point Discord. Link will be in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.